Three friends, one amazing series of YA novels, an insatiable thirst to relive the glory that is K.A. Applegate's literary masterpiece. This is Fanimail, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Hello and welcome to the Dork-Bajir Chronicles, a podcast where we read through the Animorphs series, one book at a time, then talk about it every week. Today, we'll be talking about Animorphs number 34, The Prophecy. My name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Brayden, the extra sweaty Dork-Bajir on the cover of this book.
Glistening. They're going to a bodybuilder competition after this photo shoot, and it's a
fucking
lot.
sweaty, and you know it.
Like, there should be like a champagne bottle balanced on its tail blades, right?
Okay, if it was a bodybuilder, it would be pretty much in blackface, because that's what they do. They, like, paint their contours.
They tan a lot, they paint their contours, but I mean, how do we know that this isn't already a Dork-Bajir in blackface?
That was a concept I came up with for, I played a Mass Effect RPG with some friends a little while back, and my concept was, what's the one that, Turians. I played a Turian who was racist against lighter gray Turians.
Pretty good.
Just, like, so imperceptible that no other species would notice it, but he'd be like, "You're gonna trust one of them?"
You know there's Andalites that
are
are
you
like,
talking about?
like Navy Andalites? Fuck.
Yeah, no, like the pilot Andalites are way better than the ocean-bound Andalites or whatnot.
Ocean-bound?
I don't know. Can you imagine if there's like Andalites on boats and we're off to fight the Yerks, and everybody else is like,
mermaid
hey,
Andalites.
you know,
Yeah,
like,
they don't have
the Yerks
tail
are up
blades,
in
they have
space,
mermaid
right?
tails.
The Yerks are not going to be invading the oceans of the world. They're invading by spacecraft. What are you doing?
Man, space is just the last ocean.
It's the final frontier.
Okay, let's do some...
Fanimail! Ooh, yeah! Fanimail! Ooh, yeah!
So, first piece of Fanimail comes from Anne-Marie Ellis on Facebook. This is from a while ago, but it's a post that it's a picture that just says Canada has a $200,000 rubber duck that just floats around for no reason.
I think that was made for the 500 year, the centenary or whatever.
Oh yeah, I looked it up. It's super real. So I didn't know. I thought it was photoshopped. It's super real.
Also thought it was Photoshop.
Her comment is, I feel like this would confuse the hell out of Visser 3, which is a callback to number 9? No, number 14.
Number 4.
14, right?
4 is when they go into the parade and there's Sylvester Stallone that he hits and the second head pops out. What were you thinking for 14?
No, it was just Cassie. I knew it was a Cassie. Early Cassie.
Visser 3 being confused is a callback to every book.
Oh no, you're right. It was 14. That's my bad.
Because Santarelli was in that one, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't in number 4. So.
No, he wasn't in number 4. 4 was when they found Axe.
Anyways, next piece of fan mail comes from Emerald Bixby on Twitter, who claims that who says, not claims, I'm assuming they're not lying, is they finally started listening to our podcast, which is awesome. And then it says, point number 2, Brayden was my favorite until he said he likes plain bagels the most. And misspelled Brayden, which is, I think, just icing on the cake.
I think that's just disrespect. It kind of makes it sound like it's like a person who says, I used to love Bake Street Boys. It's like, no, you didn't.
Well, you know what they say, no pain, no gain.
Oh, man.
Pretty good. Okay, whose turn is it to do the summary this week?
I think it's Brayden's this week.
So, we open up with a pretty classic goof. I would almost call it a callback or a self-reference. Cassie and Rachel, they're skittering around as rats. They make it seem pretty dire, like, oh my god, they're on a mission. But actually, they're just, crawling through some desk drawers to find a love note that Cassie accidentally left in her homework to Jake. And it's like, okay, come on.
When I first read this, I thought it was a heart drawn on the homework, but in rereading, it's obviously its own separate Valentine, right?
Yeah, which is like really basic for Cassie. Like I mean, maybe I'm just reading too much. I don't want to read too much into her character, but like she seems a little deeper than like draw on heart Cassie love Jake.
That's why, yeah, like it's a doodle. Maybe it's like a spare piece of paper. Like it's probably still its own writing paper, but she made sure to write on her notes instead.
This is her rough draft for like some sort of super Valentine.
Yeah.
I used to draw cartoons on my tests in the hopes that my teacher would like see it and maybe mark a bit more leniently. Like I did that in university all the time.
I would draw on the back of my test because I finished the test like 20 minutes before the shortest time period.
Yeah.
Draw like a small stick figure getting whacked by a big stick figure with a jug with 3 X's on it. And they'll be like, oh, of course.
Tessa doesn't have time for your stories. She's super smart.
I'm like
and
super
finishes
smart.
tests before everyone.
But I would just draw.
Guys, guess what?
What?
You remember the Arn?
Oh no!
Oh, yeah.
One of them has come to Earth from the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. Did you guys read the Dork-Bajir Chronicles? I got around to it.
It's great because part of the copy of the ebook I have, it's misspelled am because am looks like an R and an N, and it's very funny.
So an Arn has come to Earth. He claims he is the last Arn, that their resistance on the Dork-Bajir homeworld has come to naught. But he still wants to take back the homeworld. He just doesn't have an army for it. He's come to Earth because he's heard there's a Dork-Bajir here, and he wants to clone the free Dork-Bajir and take them back to the homeworld. But there's also another more tricky part of the plan. For this, they'll need weapons. And he knows that there is a cache of weapons somewhere out there, left by Aldrea and Dak. But he doesn't know where Aldrea left that cache. But what he does have is Aldrea's brain in a tube.
It's her.
I just have to.
Essentially,
it's cache. It's not cache. Cache is a different word.
Cache away.
Cache is like when something is trendy, it has cache. Whereas when something is hidden, it's a cache.
It's a cache. Also, it's not Aldrea, it's Aldrea. Also, Rachel morphs a cat, Cassie morphs a rat. Sorry, I had to do all those once.
Anyways, I am just saying that so that you don't later catch massive amounts of heat for saying cache the entire episode.
You know what? If people want to come at me, they're gonna come at me. Anyway. He's got Aldrea's brain in a tube, a download of her personality. And, he does, like, some witchy stuff, some stomping around and, like, hooting and hollering to offer it to, Rachel or Toby to, like, possess, to, like, become in its dirty body, take their dirty body for a while. But it wants Cassie. For some reason, Aldrea's mind is attracted to Cassie. So, some brain shenanigans happen. There's a lot of, like, metaphors like, oh, there's a wall up in my brain. And I really enjoy this sort of stuff, like using like, physical description, trying to physically describe the way odd sensations in your brain happen. I am a moderate user of recreational drugs, let's say. And I really appreciate
Calling 911
people
right
putting
now.
it to
Oh my
paper.
God.
Tessa, hold him down.
The cops! The cops, sweetie, the cops!
Oh no, Tessa's sitting on me. She's sitting on my chest and slapping me
Stop
like a
on the
schoolyard bully.
Say no to drugs! Say no to drugs!
Yeah, no. Give me back my ayahuasca.
Occasional recreational user of ayahuasca.
What's ayahuasca? I thought you were quoting some weird manga author.
Ayahuasca is definitely not a drug you can just do casually.
Is
No,
it like heroin?
Yeah.
I've literally never heard of this.
it's just a really intense trip.
It's like shamanistic, hallucinogenic things where you have to like take you trip for like 16
Yeah.
hours.
It's
and
like some
you
kind of,
usually
not
barf.
mushrooms, but like some kind of plant that you eat that will trip you out like mushrooms?
Yeah, it's a bark actually that is activated by DMT, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
That sounds intense. Wow.
Anyways, give it back to Brayden.
Oh yeah, it is. You realize the interconnectivity of the universe, and then realize how fucking dumb that is.
Ayahuasca is one step away from wanting a yerk in your head.
Haven't you heard that ayahuasca is a gateway drug?
Yeah, a gateway to infinity.
To Z-space, baby. Tying it all together.
That would have been if, like, instead of actually traveling for 3 days, they just took a bunch of shrooms and tripped out hard.
Oh no, we need to trace this yerk bug fighter. Quick, drop this ayahuasca up your ass.
Dork-Bajir eat bark all the time. It's great.
Oh, shit.
If you move the letters from the Arn's name around, it spells out Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, yeah.
That's what it's called, right? I don't remember.
Ayahuasca. God damn it. Guys, okay, seriously, we really need to start talking about how it is pretty much an ayahuasca trip getting to read from Aldrea's perspective again. It's really cool. It's like, it feels like something that I never was going to do again and maybe didn't really think about until I got to do it again. And I realized, god dang, this is really interesting. Gosh dang.
She feels a lot different in this one, too, because it's like war-torn Aldrea instead of like sort of smart whippersnapper Aldrea.
Well, like, she's a mom now. Like, she has a kid that she's worried about. She knows that she's got that existential fear and, like, acceptance weighing on her soul.
And she's like giving Axe a hard time. She's like, I don't trust Andalites. And Axe is like, okay, Rachel Dolezal. So they go off-world. The whole team comes and leaves the Chee behind to be illusion versions of them. And they all give them, like, little instructions, like, okay, don't be too nice to my sisters, because, like, I'm a huge asshole to them. Marco is like, I got some homework I didn't finish. Can you, do that up?
It's pretty buck wild that they have, like, specific requests for these, like, advanced androids that are probably taking time out of their day from doing, like, reconnaissance work.
I mean, literally, the one guy says, yeah, I work 80 hours a week as a restaurant manager, but I'm also going to make sure that I ask out this girl that you like.
It's a weird aside that it feels like just padding because, like,
Marco's just trying to get some of that little girl play.
Brayden, you're awful.
Hey, the Killers said it, not me. It's a song.
No, it's not.
It's a long, long, long way down. 'Cause it's a long, long,
The only song the Killers made was Mr. Brightside.
I was trying to figure out in my head how to say, like, Marco just wanted a boyfriend that looked like a girlfriend.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, something like that.
Axe and his human morph. What up, Axe Marco shippers? I see you.
Seriously, cover your webcams.
God damn it. They make it to space. They get attacked by an Andalite ship, but
that's after that they're at the Hork-Yerk planet. Before, Cassie goes to the bathroom with Aldrea in her head.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, critical, yeah, true.
All right, so we get a long, drawn-out scene of Cassie just letting one out of her vagina bladder.
Okay.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
So, they go up. Toby is with them, and the Arn. They go to the homeworld. They are nearly shot down by an Andalite scout that Axe is just, like, dodging and weaving until they manage to get a shot on its engines. And then some other random bogeys come by, and they're like, oh, do we leave this guy whose engines we just took out? And they're like, no, this is a kid's book. We can't have that bullshit going on. And they take them out. They take out the bogeys, I mean. And then they get to the home planet. And it's really nice. The thing is, Aldrea doesn't know exactly where the weapons are. This copy of her was from before all that went down. But she knows where she had the idea to put it. Shenanigans in the bush. The location where the weapons are is underneath of a yerk pool.
Well, it's like the tree is part of the dam that creates the yerk pool. instead of digging into the earth, they just made a pool out of trees.
Wow.
Also, if you really think about the engineering of it, like dams don't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a dam doesn't work by completely closing off the flow of water, only by slowing it down enormously, right? So does that mean that there's constantly water filtering out of this thing? And does that mean that there are constantly yerks flying out the other side of this dam?
No, it's not a dam.
Wild?
It's like an actual pool made out of, like, it's trees all the way around. A dam is in
essentially
a river.
an above ground pool.
So that's not a dam then.
I think they called it a dam because it's a bunch of trees holding back water. But typically, it's actually just a pool. Like how I thought of it was a pool just made of trees.
Wow, these kids don't know the exact definition of dam. Fuck.
Well, they should have learned it in like grade 3 when every single other person on the planet learns it anyways.
They do that badass thing where Cassie turns into a whale in midair and fucking crushes the shit, but Aldrea's being a real bitch about it and is like, "No, we're gonna die. You need to turn sooner. This is my Aldrea voice." Aldrea. Oh, my young lady, you need to morph yourself a whale right about now, you hear? And Cassie's like, "No, you don't know what you're talking about. You never morphed a fucking whale. You're a fucking pussy bitch. I'll fucking fight you in my brain." Gah! Water! Was that exciting for you out in audio world? Because it's pretty exciting for me.
I already called the police.
Please do call the police. I think I may be suffering internal bleeding. I really gave it to those woos and wahs.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, my gut hurts.
This is
I'm dying.
Also the part of the book where we find out that Cassie can morph two animals at once.
And I think it's like, I think she has to be demorphing one of them while she's morphing the other one is the idea. But like, that's bonkers. What the hell? That at least cuts down 5 minutes of your morphing time if you can go from one morph to barely human and then right to the next one.
Because I pictured it as like a whale that's about half the size of a normal whale with whale-sized wings coming out of it.
That's what it is describing the wings getting even bigger, which is bonkers. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah, because it means that the new morph is affecting the old morph's shape. So it's not proportional. Like you're not losing the old shape at the same rate that you're gaining the new shape. You're just, I don't know. Like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any
sense. I mean, it's not like they download Aldrea into Cassie's brain for one.
First of all, that does make sense. We'll talk about that later.
But they go into Z-space, Mikhail, and that doesn't make sense, as we all know.
I've accepted Z-space as a part of this,
Have
this
you?
fiction. I have to, otherwise it's just going to be infuriating.
This is true, yep.
Okay, we're almost at the end, I think.
They get the weapons by crushing the pool and chasing everybody out with their morphs. Marco has this really cool plan where he turns into a Dork-Bajir and then runs out and he's just like, Guys! Hundreds of Andalites in the woods! Run! And then they're like, wow, Cassie, really cool morphing. We're gonna burn you for being a witch.
That's crazy. This is the book that has the R word, and then they also just kill Cassie on the Dork-Bajir planet. They set her on fire as soon as she lands in the Yerk pool. It's awful.
They just replace her with the Chee that plays her.
Who would ever know, Eric? I mean, Cassie.
And then this was the last Cassie book because she's dead in the next one.
But also, the rest of her books are narrated by the Chee. They get to play Cassie.
But actually, also, there is a lot left in this book.
There's a little bit.
Okay.
So they call it a day. They get their weapons.
They have a jacuzzi. They stop. They go home. No, they get into... There's Taxons jump into the pool, and Jake and Rachel turn into sharks and eat the Taxons. And then they get into the log. And there's the big, huge Yerk ship. They climb into the ship. They blast out of there, and they give the ship back to the Arn. And then they go home.
So that the Arn can start his Arnie.
No. What? It's called an army.
Where does the Arn keep his arnies? In his little test tubes.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
not bad. Anyways, there's one last scene, essentially.
Yes. Aldrea is worried that Toby wants to stay on the homeworld to lead the Dork-Bajir clones. So they pull a little grift on Toby where Cassie's like, oh no, guys, Aldrea is trying to take over my body. And Axe, in return, is like, no, just surrender or I'll kill Toby.
It's like pretty intense.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're going to get this child to go home by threatening their life.
Also, like, we didn't tell anyone else, even though we have telepathy. Axe is, because Jake is like, Axe, don't do that. Or he, like, looks at him like, what are you doing?
What the fuck?
It's like, you could have just, like,
Just let him
quickly
know.
said, like,
You
just
could
roll
have said
this.
something, yeah.
But yeah, Axe is like, Aldrea, leave Cassie or I'm gonna murder your goddaughter. We're gonna take her as collateral so that you do leave Cassie for sure. And it's like, how does that work? Also.
And then they leave so that Toby doesn't have a chance to go with the Arn. Yeah.
Oh, but we do watch, we do get a narration of, we get to read a narration of Aldrea essentially re-dying as she is put back away in her mind test tube,
Yeah.
which is pretty intense.
Yeah, like, okay. I got some issues with this because I feel like there's two much better endings to this book. The first one is her ghost is like, oh, like now I have to die for real. And it's like sad because she has to die, right? The other one is, why don't she just go into Toby? And I know it's not like totally in her control who she can go into, but maybe it could be like,
That's one thing that I don't get. It's a science. Why does it kind of work like magic?
well, at one point the Arn is like, we need the Andalites because we don't understand technology. We only understand biology. And it's like, my dude, that is not accurate at all. You can't like grow animals just because you understand biology. What does that mean?
But you use technology and biology. Like, exactly. What is that? What are you talking about?
I know, they're not separate. He flew a fucking spaceship. So,
I don't understand technology. You must feed me my soup. The spoon is too much technology for me. I only understand biology. And then he shits on the floor.
I don't, because like the only explanation is it's like, you're right. It's like some kind of like druid magic where they like grow monsters like Uruk-hai from fucking second Lord of the Rings movies.
Well,
come
then
out
even
of
it
the
feels like
ground.
magic. He uncaps this vial and just like waves it around and it billows out into the air. And then he's like, Cassie, do you accept? And then Cassie has to say yes because these memories that the Arn took from Aldrea, they really respect consent, which is cool, but also really not believable.
Also, do they respect consent? Because Cassie was not one of the people that volunteered.
No, but like the Arn grabbed her and was like, do you accept the Exilia? And Jake's like, no, she wasn't a choice. And Cassie knew there was only one word she could say. Yes. Like that's part of the book.
That's right. You're right. Yeah. I think it's also
Expert.
because Cassie has very little backbone. in
I
the
have
books.
no
Yeah.
choice but to consent.
That was one thing that was really apparent in this book versus other Cassie books. Like the ghostwriter went out of their way to talk about how Cassie was wimpy when like, girl, have you read book 29?
29 is good because it's like, oh, fuck. Like, Cassie's doing some action hero shit because she has to.
She's
But in
fucking
this-
kicking ass.
In this one, she's like, I'm sad because a fucking AI personality is gonna live in a test tube and not feel the passage of time. Like, what are
Yeah.
you sad about?
Like,
What-
that's the thing. She gets a chance to wake up again. Like, she's, I doubt it'll ever happen, but there's a possibility.
From a narrative point of view, pretty disappointing that she went back in the test tube, I think. Because it was like, oh, so the stakes were, yeah.
Also, it would have made this, not feel like a one-shot, right? Like, right now, it's
Yeah.
just like a filler book where, again, not much has changed. I doubt we'll ever go back to the Dork-Bajir planet. What did they do here that's really gonna impact them in later books?
It's interesting. I was listening to a podcast about a video game podcast, and they were describing like sort of the nebulous definition of what is an A game and what is a B game, in the sense that, well, it's hard to define exactly what that means, but I was thinking about it in terms of these books, like what is a book and what's a B book, and this one kind of straddles that line. Like 33, I think, was like, that's an A book, because it's like we get character development, we get history, we get even new information about like the guy's father, whereas 24 is like a B book to the extreme, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, it does change some things about the world that will be revealed later.
Ooh.
But this one feels like, like this is like a really critical character who's being reintroduced, and like potentially a seed for a whole other plot line to happen simultaneous to ours. But at the end, it was like, and it, just like every sitcom, everything's exactly the same.
Yeah, like nothing changes towards
eventually
the end.
in book 50, all those Hork-Bajir clones come back and go totally Jordan Peele's Us on all the original Hork-Bajir.
Spoilers!
Heyo.
I was going to say that I imagine the Hork-Bajir coming back, but they all have like super fluent in how weapons technology works.
They're like one of their legs is a gun, because of course.
Yeah, no, because the Arn don't understand technology, so they couldn't.
This is true. They wouldn't be able to graft it. They could build you a new.
It shoots like splinters, and it's like this totally organic
like
gun.
Bullets of blood, or like it can Wolverine into a bone leg, but I can't put a gun in your hand because I don't understand technology.
Yeah, anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm sure it doesn't come back anyways. I don't remember it coming back. Maybe it does, but
I'll never tell.
I don't think you remember.
I remember a lot. Okay, I have been fooled pretty much every time I read this book. At the very end, this is the only time when I realized, this was the plan. I thought it was weird that she planned to leave and then would go back and Cassie would be like, she's taking control of me. And it's like interesting how you just see Aldrea's point of view where she's like thinking and feeling but not talking about what she's doing. You just see what she's doing, taking control of Cassie by what Cassie is saying or how the other guys interact. No, it was totally fooled. I was totally fooled like a simpleton.
Well, Brayden, as someone who doesn't know Brayden, like that, what happens with Toby later, did you feel like actually they kind of fucked over Toby? Because Toby would have been like an amazing leader for the new Hork-Bajir army?
It's an interesting question. Yes, certainly, but like Toby is also still a child, and like it's not like the free Hork-Bajir don't, they're passing up the free her chance to be like a military leader back on on Earth, because like that's going to be just as much a chance as any, I guess.
It's interesting though, because I think the Earthbound Hork-Bajir don't seem to be necessarily organizing as a military, where it seems like this new Hork-Bajir group is going to be like fucking stormtrooper level, like all we do is breathe war.
Yeah, that's definitely the feeling that I got. But maybe, Aldrea does say that she doesn't think Toby would want to live a life of war, but just feel that she has to help the Hork-Bajir planet Hork-Bajir.
But are those different? You know what I mean? Like, if you feel like you have to do something, don't you want to do it? Like, to save your species or whatever? Like, it does seem like a kind of selfish in a way, where, because the Arn does not seem to know like how to communicate properly with Hork-Bajir, but it seems like Toby understands Hork-Bajir and understands like how higher level intelligence creatures work, which is super useful.
Especially since the Arn only has just over a year, like an Earth year, to live, which is not a lot of days.
Yeah.
And he has to grow these Hork-Bajir to be big and also teach them to fight. Which is not the Hork-Bajir's base state from what we know of the Hork-Bajir Chronicles. Like, they don't fight each other.
And it sort of, like, depends, right? Because they were totally engineered to be pacifists. Maybe they could be engineered to not be pacifists, right?
Yeah.
Well, they seem to pick it up pretty fast in Hork-Bajir Chronicles.
They do, but somebody was there to show them how to do it, and the Arn isn't going to go rushing in to attack, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what? He probably just cloned Toby.
Would that work? Ooh, would a clone of Toby still have her seer power? Or would
Yeah, because
whatever
it's
is
a gene.
scrambled in her? Yeah, but what if it's the magic stuff too? What if
No,
it's magical?
right. Yeah, you're right. It's probably magic. This sci-fi universe probably has a fucking spell
Secret
out of
magic!
nowhere.
Secret magic jumps in book 34 in this series.
The Arn, in book 35, we find out the Arn is like, oh no, the Toby came out just a regular one. Guess I have to cut my palm and bleed into a pentagram and sell my soul to the devil quick for a smart one.
Or maybe it's like he doesn't think, like it's so ingrained in the Arn that they don't understand technology that even though they use high level technology, they just like refer to it as magic or biology. Like he's like typing code into his fucking genetic engineering thing, and he's like, someone's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm casting a spell.
I thought you were gonna say they understand biology, but they don't understand technology, so they like didn't even invent this DNA acquiring thing. It was just there. So they like press the button, but he pressed the wrong button. That was just like scramble the genes as you take them out for cloning, so that this one's not a seer. And he's like, oh no, I hit the wrong button.
Well, you know what they say. Books are art. Science is magic.
Oh, that's a good
Ooh,
one.
That is a good one.
Damn.
I was going to make a joke that seems badly timed now, but it's like, what if the
Sorry.
Arn doesn't understand technology so much to the point where like even simple machines, like his pants are on backwards.
His pants on his 4 legs. So then it's that meme. How would the dog wear pants? Does he have 2 pairs of pants? Does he have one just on the back half? Or is it a 4-legged pant that zips at the side, exposing his wings?
I don't know. I hate the Arn. Actually, I hate the design of the Arn almost more than I hate the Mandalorians or whatever those fucking crab people were from Megamorphs 2.
Mandalorians are
from
a warrior race from Star Wars.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Star
right. I'm
Wars.
thinking of the macaroons from Megamorphs 2.
Macaroons.
Macaroons are like a very
Is that
small.
right?
They're like a cookie that is made with chocolate and coconut combined.
I think it's the marzipans from Megamorphs 2.
That's
Maybe it's the man comes. The man comes.
no. Those are both white substances that dry out.
Keep pulling from that well, Brayden. One day the cum jokes will pay off.
I think they've been paying off already.
I know, that's the
think
problem.
they've paid off all over your face and chest.
They paid
That's
off
not
or
bad.
they peed off.
What the fuck?
Oh my god. Don't try Brayden's brand
I'm
on for
sorry.
size,
I, like,
Tessa.
Want to try and sometimes I want to go to that well and see what's there, but it's just full of piss and cum.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
It's a
god.
bad well.
By the bucket load.
It's like a bucket list, but awful.
So we kind of talked about it already, but do you guys think that because like the same basic concept of like uploading your consciousness to technology or sorry, whatever they call it, not technology, but like that idea is not new in fiction. Like I'm sure you guys have seen movies. They do it in
probably was new at the time, but now we have stuff like altered carbon.
it's super not new. It's been around since like
Yeah.
the 30s. Like early sci-fi definitely had that
I mean,
idea
but like
in it.
this was written in the 1926, so we're still good.
Oh, yep. Checkmate.
Checkmate, atheists.
Checkmate, atheists. Animorphs predates the Bible.
You know how Jesus was the lion and the lamb?
He morphed.
That's his sneaky morph and his fighting morph. Jesus is actually David. It all is connected.
But the biblical David.
Yeah.
I'm fucking losing it.
Anyways, my original question was, did you guys think that was cool or dumb? Because I remember watching that movie Chappie. Do you remember where he like hooks a bunch of PS4s together and uploads his brain to it? Do you remember that?
I never saw that movie, but I always wanted to. Is the Chappie
Spoilers.
himself the consciousness downloaded into the robot?
Well, the Chappie is a robot who just happens to like have this new thing that the engineer was working on, which is basically like quote unquote real AI, like learning AI.
Oh, okay,
he's, like,
so
a
Chappie
baby.
himself isn't full of human, but he puts his chappiness into the PS4.
Well, not only that, because that's not that hard to imagine. Like, oh, it's like a program or whatever, scripting. He also uploads his engineer's brain into the PS4.
What?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, that's weird. I would have liked the downloading in this book more if it felt more like downloading and less like, let me uncork some green mold and wave it around and have your heart beating time to it as I call out, Aldrea, come to us! Aldrea! Like, it felt very, like, as you said earlier, shamanistic, or like some kind of like magical stuff. Like, plug some wires into her. I know you're bad at technology, but come on.
Prepare to come in this hat.
Put like an Ethernet cable in her nose. Download the Andalite. You wouldn't download an Andalite.
Okay.
Or would you?
I think we can all agree then conceptually that the idea of like a stuck in time ghost being able to come back way later is cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I like
this
that.
was cool.
I really like that. I think like maybe they
I
didn't
had a big fat hardy for it.
They didn't do everything they could have done with it, but I mean also 90 pages as a limit is
It's pretty
tough.
short, yeah. I like how there was the weird back and forth of Aldrea feels like a yerk taking control of my body. It's a bit of sharing, but it's also a bit like of book 19 where Cassie was infested.
Yeah, that's true actually. I mean, the obvious similarity, I'm sure both Cassie and Aldrea were aware of it, which is maybe why when Aldrea did take over Cassie's body, she was like, oh fuck, I shouldn't have done that. Because the war that is it. The fighting things taking over other people's bodies, right? So they're probably both like hyper aware of what a bad idea that would be to do to allies.
I think Cassie makes that, like, at one point she tries to twitch the tail while Aldrea's in wolf morph. She tries to like see if she can fight. But then later on in the book, she fights Aldrea off while also morphing from osprey to whale.
That's right.
She kind of does it all at once, which is wild. Which means it is different than a yerk because you wouldn't be able to fight off a yerk. So maybe that will help the nightmares, Cassie.
Speaking of the word Cassie, because this is like just tangentially related to what I'm going to say, we should do an OTP alert.
OTP alert! It was so big! There was a little OTP in last book because they smooched on the beach, but there was so much torture to get to that point. Yeah. This one starts with the mention of smooching.
God, like there's a lot of stuff. Almost everything.
And the L word.
Almost everything that's not the main plot line is like either Aldrea talking about Dak and her relationship or Cassie talking about her relationship with Jake.
Yeah, and then at one point, like, Aldrea talks about, like, Cassie, I like your boyfriend. Like, after she's gotten over the fact that this juvenile alien is bossing her around.
Yeah, I mean, I guess out of anyone, she would be the quickest to be okay or, like, see the merits of an individual in another species. I mean, based on her history, right?
What, you saying she's got an alien fetish?
I mean, she's got a personality fetish? Is that a thing?
That's probably a thing. Did you know I had someone in high school who told me that she had a fetish for the sky?
Cool, I hate that person.
She didn't know what it meant. I don't think.
Did she, like, mean it in the literal sense?
I think she meant, like,
oh, yeah, my family is, like, Wicca types. We have a, like, a pole that represents the sky.
We overheard some boy in the hallway talking about how he had a shoe fetish.
Oh,
and she was like, do you know what fetish means? And I was like, still uncomfortable with even talking about anything that had any idea relating to anything that could be sex. So I said no. And she was like, it means when you really like something, like you're obsessed with it. Like, I have a fetish for the sky. And like, girl, you don't.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't.
It's funny, too, because I think this is, like, totally not related, but I think...
Okay, now say she's a dumb bitch. Say she's a dumb bitch.
I was going to say, a lot of people seem to think that fetishes are something you're obsessed with, but you're not, really.
No.
It's just, like, your thing that you like. But it doesn't... Just because, like, you have a foot fetish, it doesn't mean you're, like, constantly looking at everyone's feet like you're going to fuck them. Unless you're Quentin Tarantino, in which case
like,
you do.
unless it's, like... maybe it's your fetish, but it's also the only way that you feel... a sense of, like, the only way that you're free from shame. In which case, maybe you are looking at feet all the time. Like, it's the only thing that gets you off. So you were like, even just touching your genitals doesn't do anything for you. You have to look at feet.
I don't know enough about anything we're talking about.
You're just like opening up a shoe magazine before you masturbate just because nothing else will get you randy.
So to tie it all back together, Cassie clearly has a shoe fetish.
Cassie has a shoe fetish. There's a lot of descriptions of toes in this book, actually. Like turning into Dork-Bajir feet, or turning into rat feet, or turning into a tail.
Someone needs to do like a data analysis or like aggregation of the types of changes described by each narrator and discover which one they focus on more, and then just blindly call that their fetish with no basis.
Just like picturing it, Tobias is his eyeballs, Rachel is her hair. I think Cassie does have a lot of her feet being crunched, and I think Marco has his spine. I'm just spitballing here with these last ones, but I'm pretty positive Tobias is eyeballs and Rachel is hair. But that could be because Rachel has the long hair, so it's much more drastic when it all goes slurping into her head like spaghetti, which is what they say almost every time it's described. Even other characters comment on it. It's so bad.
It's not cool.
I don't want to picture my scalp opening up and eating my hair. Like, that's really horrifying.
Anyways, next week in our bi-weekly episode of The Speaking Tree, we'll be talking about how we would better execute the whale dropping or avoid the whale dropping entirely, maybe.
Hell yeah.
How would we use morphing to erase a doodle you made on a piece of homework that the teacher now has? And how would you use a wolf morph for purely personal reasons?
You can find more of our stuff on our podcast page at collectivelegacy.org or on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Facebook.
Remember to subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, or else we'll drop a whale on you.
Yeah, buddy.
Unless that's what you're into, in which case we won't.
Oh, if that's your fetish, we won't do it.
You can show your support for our show at our Patreon page, patreon.com/DORKBAJIR.
We offer special bonuses for patrons, like access to our Discord server, Animorph essays written by us, and much more. I just personally explored the nature of God a couple weeks ago in my essay, Animorphs and Empire, Part 3, Gods of War.
For patrons who are Dork-Bajir level or higher, we like to end the episode by giving them an Animorph-style title.
Big shout out to Anyanka, the technology.
Ace Chaves, the tree with Dak and Aldrea carved into it with a heart.
Anne-Marie Ellis, the feeling you get when somebody you're a fan of retweets you.
Max Sanicut, the Chee that would play me while I was on a mission.
Zachary Vaudo, the Chee being mean to my sisters while I was on a mission.
Martha Urquhart, mommy.
Greg Della Posta, the only AI ghost I'd let into my brain.
Nick, the biology.
Shanna, the witchery.
Michael Armenta, that confused Andalite from the space battle.
Mariah Wamby, morphing a bird and a whale at the same time.
Andrew Vila, morphing a bird, a whale, and a shithawk at the same time.
Steam Driven, a Phantom Menace defender like Marco is in this one.
Alamist, my whale dropping fetish.
For the Fanimorphs, my name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Braden. I don't know, what did I say up top? Just pretend I said that again.
And this has been Fanimorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Okay, but you guys, Marco's right. Cool is cool. Phantom Menace has pod racing.
Okay, that is the best part of that movie.
It's very good. Now this is pod racing. Also, all of the stuff where they talk about taxes.
What do you want to eat right now? Jinx.
I'm Mitch.
And I'm Sophie. And this is
We Watch Food,
a podcast all about the food we like to watch.
We'll talk all about the best, the craziest, and the tastiest TV, movies, and YouTube channels.
Not to mention trendy food fads and sumptuous food trivia.
Plus, we end every episode with a recipe from one of us.
So join us every Saturday for a new episode and a new insight into what makes us watch so much food.
You can find us at collectivelegacy.org, as well as a bunch of other awesome podcasts.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at We Watch Food.
And on Twitter at We Watch Food Pod. So I've been Mitch.
I'm Sophie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Brought to you by
Collective Legacy.
a podcast network.